Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. This is Sandra from Keeping It Spiritually Simple, and my beautiful guest today is Angela Willow. And what is our topic? Our topic is going to be death doula. And what exactly is that? And what's the role of a doula during the death process? So, Angela, welcome. How are you today?
I'm amazing today. I
Love
feel,
to hear it.
yeah, I feel really good. I just got done unwrapping a birthday gift that came in the mail from my friend Lucy, who was at Sology Fest. And so that was amazing. I'm wearing some pants that came in the mail, and I'm feeling I'm feeling like a present right now.
Well, you're looking rather festive there, girlfriend, and your hippie doos.
And my
Loving
hippie
it.
dudes.
Your
I
hippie
know.
doos. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about, what got you into being a death doula? What's the role of a death doula? What else do we
Mhm.
call a death doula? Um, and we're going to let you just give your perspectives on all of that, and I'll chime in here and there.
Yeah, because we know, my perspective's just like this much of it, this just what I've experienced so far. And it started with a book called The Anam Cara and the beautiful Celtic lineage and poetry. And it talks about the Anam Cara being the soul friend and someone that you have this soulmate connection with that all through lifespan and then up to their end of life and transitioning them. So it started there, and then I started hearing about there were people at the hospital that didn't have any family. It was called the No One Dies Alone program. And I was like, wow, that I didn't realize there were so many people that was a need for something. Some souls do like to cross alone, but other souls don't, you know? So that got me intrigued. And then one day I was online, and on my Facebook came this beautiful woman named Mary who had an Anam Cara death doula program. And I was like, wow, okay. Anam Cara called me in, and this whole end of life thing. And then I had moved in with my aunt right when my uncle had crossed over. She was in her 80s, and I moved in with her to help take care of her toward her end of life at the same time that I found out that this end of life work was a thing. So I took the course and had a beautiful experience, but something else happened through it that I didn't expect. I didn't expect for my mortality to come up with as much fear within myself as it did. And right as I graduated, we got back from our ceremony in Tepoztlan, Mexico, and 2 weeks later, not even, I think like a week later, the world shut down with COVID. And death was now a world fear. And we were all processing where we were at with our mortality, where we were at with ultimately our life. And so, for my personal journey, by leaning into this very uncomfortable thing and this fear of death for me at the time, I went from being gung ho and so excited about it to terrified of death. I didn't even know that I had this fear. it was brought to my awareness. Is that really loud?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're just going to go with it. You guys, we had to situate ourselves to have a better internet
I'm
connection.
just gonna shift.
So Angela is just sitting somewhere else and now she's rotating so we have a better connection.
So funny. My roommate is just like mowing the lawn, and he doesn't ever mow the lawn like this. It's really funny. This is our first warm day here in Michigan. Okay, here I am. Had to go pop out to the backyard. So,
That's all right. So you were talking about you went from one space to this one. Oops, she froze again.
oh my God. Yeah, it was all. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Can you hear me? Hmm.
You keep freezing. Okay, go ahead. Let's pick up where we had to stop.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I was like all gung ho. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a death doula. I was like, this is it, you know. And then I graduate, and I am with the rest of the world, just like with my mortality, and really processing what does this mean. And what I realized was that I didn't have a fear of death. I had a fear of life. I had a fear of living this free and sovereign way from my soul. I knew it somewhere in the depths of me that it existed, but I didn't even know how to go about what I was feeling in this shed. And then, you know, with the shutdown, I was able to spend the majority of my time literally on the ground, outside, laying down, laying under the trees, painting, singing in full soul expression, and taking care of my elderly aunt, living my best life ultimately. Like, I didn't even care about money. I barely had any money coming in. I did not care. I was living my best life, but I was still processing through these panic attacks of death that we were feeling on this grand scale. I remember being terrified the first time I got called in after getting a certification, because a certification is just a certification. Now you got to start like putting this new title on you. Like, I took some months of training, but like, I don't really know like what I'm doing, and just all this unknown. And that's the other thing, that embarking on this journey of this end of life experience, I started leaning more into the unknown constantly and becoming more and more comfortable in the unknown. And I was terrified the first time, and the woman had dementia, and I went and met with her. I'm also a cosmetologist. I do hair. And so I went over there and I brought a bunch of nail polish. me and her daughter had talked, and I was like, has she had her nails done in a while? And she was like, no. And I'm like, I just want to connect. Like, I don't come in there announcing I'm a death doula, because people look at you like you're the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
So I do what I call this, like, for some situations, I do what's called this backdoor entrance. And that's where I might come in and look like your hairdresser. I might come in and look like your cleaner. I might come in and just look like your daughter's friend who they're bringing by to be with you. I don't go around with this label on me announcing to everyone that this is what I'm here to bring comfort in. And I didn't even know it was going to go this way. This is just how it rolled out. And so I showed up and I was painting her nails, and she starts talking to me like, you're going to do great. Everything's going to be fine. And I'm like, what? And the stuff that was coming through her daughter's sitting there, and her daughter's looking at me, and her daughter is like an awakened being who is on her spiritual journey. And so we were both like having this moment with her mom, like, and afterwards she's like, did you hear the things my mom was saying to you? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, that was so channeled.
Oh, yes. Their
That
higher
was just
self comes through
so
a lot.
channeled
Yeah.
through, because she was just talking like nonsense most of the time. She was at the very end of her life. She could go anytime. Dementia. She's all fragmented out. And I had the
I think we're going to have to pause again. All right. So I think we're going to continue where now the daughter was talking to you, and then you were having your experience with the mother.
yes. So so the daughter was just like, oh my gosh, that was channeled. My mom has dementia. She doesn't talk like that. Like, and it was just this beautiful message that came through her. And then we built a relationship, and I ended up coming a few times to be with her and her mother. And I would go to her mother when she couldn't be there. So if she had to go into work or whatever, I would go and be with her mother. Well, her mother ended up crossing when I wasn't there. I was at home, and me and her daughter would just go moment by moment, and whatever is next. And we had talked about like ritual bathing with the body, and to create a relationship from her physical living body to her mother's body. They have found that ceremony, that ritual, because our physical bodies actually grieve each other. It's not just the mind, it's the body to body connection that we miss and we grieve. And so by washing a body vessel that is absent of soul helps your body comprehend what has really happened. And so I was talking her through this. Well, I happen to be in the bath when she called me, but when I'm serving, I do make myself very available. And I knew that her mother had just crossed. So yes, I was in the tub, but like I'm on the phone with her in the tub washing myself as she's getting ready to wash her mom's body. And then I go to sleep that night. And this is where it turned into a very shamanic experience, because I went on a journey with her mother, and it was scary. It was fragmented. I couldn't breathe. I was resisting. And I was living with my sister at the time, and I went to my sister's bedroom in the middle of the night, and she's a really powerful spiritual being. And I was like, sis, I need your help right now. I'm helping this person cross, and something is happening. Our souls are really connecting, and I'm with her in the spirit. And I'm birthing her. Like I was having like these contractions. And so we went to her living room, and my sister made me a hot cup of tea, and she got her singing bowl out, and I'm breathing, and I'm on all fours, and I'm just breathing and stretching and breathing and drinking tea. And my sister's praying and doing the bowl, and we got through it. And in the morning, I was like, that was wild. Like, that was wild. And this is my first experience, right? So like,
I'm hearing you. I have chills everywhere. Everywhere I have chills.
Like, it's all just like real job. Everything is on the job. Whatever it is we need to learn on the job. There is no training for this but to do it. And that's what everybody kept telling me. There is no training for this. Like, you're going to try, you're going to train, but no, you're going to get in there, and then what you're going to learn by being. So the next day, I'm like, this woman's soul is so fragmented out from trauma, and I don't know where to go from here. So then I reached out to Doula Source, to the group that I graduated from, and I was like, I need help. Like, something's going on with this soul. Well, what we learned is that a soul that's gone through, so a dementia patient has had so much trauma that their souls are fragmented out. So I was guided to gently and softly call her name forward, the scared part of her that was just trying to cross. And together with Archangel Michael and Jesus, I called all of her soul fragments back to her being from all timelines. And I said, you are whole and complete. And Jesus is here to take you to your family. And then I saw this door open, and I saw all these people from her life that were there to receive her, like a party, like a celebration. And she turned around, and before that happened, her daughter called me in the morning and said, so her daughter's in tune, and her daughter's like, my mom's not fully crossed. And I said, I know, she's fragmented. I was on the phone with another practitioner, another shaman, receiving the advice that I needed as her daughter's calling in on the other line, telling me my mom is not fully crossed. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then that's when I did the whole collecting of the fragments, bringing the fragments to the whole self, and then helping that soul finish the journey. And I called her daughter back, and she said, it's done. I said, it is done. And that was my first interaction in this incarnation, working as a quote unquote labeled death doula. And every interaction that I'm called into is so unique, so different. There isn't really any way for me to prepare other than my own journey and my own spiritual journey, but working with these souls I learn how to incorporate what I do with them and apply it to my own. They're teaching space in this space. So now I know about fragment collecting. And anytime I feel a little like spread out there or whatever, I'll do like a soul fragment journey with myself, and I'll remind myself that I'm in a whole state of consciousness in this now moment, and each one is teaching me something new about my own living life. So in turn, everyone that I feel comes to me for, whether it's end of life transition or Reiki, sound healing, even in my hair services, my friendships, every interaction, every relationship that I have an encounter with is always an aspect of me that needs more of my love and more of my attention and needs me to be with it. So, I love this conversation. I am so grateful for the opportunity and the invitation to speak about it. I have this aspect of this journey that is really beautiful. I'm learning how important living in preparation for our death is actually the whole reason of life. We're actually preparing for this grand celebration of that transition. That transition space is actually like the ultimate fireworks, the ultimate, our whole life's preparation works is actually for that transition to transition out of this body into what's next for us. And then there's also I feel very, very strongly about how we're baskets, we're ground and toxic, poisonous in any way, shape, or form, unless there's like a very rare thing, but it's actually like such a small percentage that would actually cause any kind of disease into the ground or the water system or anything like that. It's all false. And so I'm very like pro speaking about us being delivered back to the earth, that this is actually a part of this temple, and this body deserves a full experience of the process and reunion with Mother Earth. The bones, the skin, everything touching the earth is all a part of the ceremony. And it's all a part of the propaganda to keep us in our separation process. So it's not just in our everyday living life that we're feeling the BS. They're actually keeping our bodies from having a full send off and returning into the cycle of life and letting us go in through a portal. So I got theories. I don't want to get into those right now, but I've got theories with all of that. But this full process is like super beautiful and super important. And now there's all kinds of things coming out. There's natural cemeteries. There's two in Michigan. Natural ways to have your body at home, to have in-home services and vigils for 3 days. Michigan 3 days. There's things with that, but it is a possibility. So all that being said, part of so that we don't fear what it is that we're preparing during life. So that's something that
Right. So you froze up there a little bit. So really what we're talking about is there are new laws being put into place about
and then
having
there's
home deaths and also about having the body in the home for up to 3 days. Um, and I know some of that's considered green burial, and because many people think that once the even in the hospital, once you die, they got to walk out of the room and be done with it. I had a friend pass over a year ago in hospice, and I was there visiting. But when she passed, I wasn't there, and her daughter called and said, "I'm going to keep mom in the room for a while. You want to come up?" And I said, "Oh, I do." And I drove an hour and 20 minutes to get there just so I could sit with her for a while and just be in the room with the energy of her being passed over.
yeah,
But then it isn't soon after that they want to come in and start the cleaning process so that they could put them in their death position so rigor mortis doesn't set in. So there's so many things that happen after a death that shoo you away from the process. And so that's why many of us that are living, that are left behind, we're in this sort of shock. We're in this status of what just happened here, or there's no relief. There's no nothing. It's just you're in this status of where am I right now? I'm suspended in between this life death that just occurred. And so it really throws us out of the process of experiencing it with the person who's transitioning to the other side. So, death doula is an end of life, coach, is a elder care coach, a transition coach, a death coach. There's so many different ways you can call it, but really what you are is you're a companion that is there to be the go-between the family and the person in transition, that is sort of like a semi-neutral party, little bit detached, but very hands-on in a way that brings comfort to the living and the ones who are exiting their body. How I interpret it. Would that
yep,
be right for you?
yes, yes, yes. And at first, I would be like, oh my God, what do I need to bring? And what do I need to have? And who do I need to be? And like, I would like overthink everything. And I realized it was about my presence. It was about me being with, that my biggest gift that I could offer the family was the bridge of peace, the energy of peace, the energy of calm. And honestly, the less I know about the person who's crossing's journey, um, their past and stuff, I don't really need, I don't, unless, no, I don't need to know, because whatever I do need to know ends up coming up anyways, whether it's a part of something we're working out, working with the energies to transmute before they go, or any work like that that needs to be done. And you can go in depth into their past if they need to do that kind of work. But what I'm finding though right now with what I've been doing is that because there's so many degrees of this, and there's so many different ways for us to show up as end of life doulas and companions, but I have been called in by the family's doula. So like, it's almost like there's something in place energetically between the soulmates that are going to be bedside with the person who's crossing, right? That doula in the family or friend is already kind of selected. I work with them and bring them comfort more than I've actually worked with the actual person who's crossing, for me personally. That's how it's just ended up going. But like I said, with every situation being so incredibly different, that through the years that may change. I'm still a young early on doula, right? I'm still discovering what does it mean for me in this work. But it's the most non-judgmental, space, the most neutral, like you said, this neutral, non-judgmental, and there's preparing, helping people prepare for end of life. There's so much to it, helping people talk about it and being comfortable with it. And even if all I did was bring this conversation up in my everyday life and make it more natural, if that's all I did to represent Death Doula, I would be happy, because the energy has gotten here, and it's really, really here in the Western civilization, that we have this super distorted life and death thing. And then there's also, like, inside of the spiritual community, there's this anti-death. Well, there is no death. Okay, but there is. Cycles come to an end. And even though the end isn't an end and it's a transformation, it's still an end. And the body does absolutely. Now, the last 2 weeks ago, I served, and that one was all about the body. The daughter, another very aware spiritual being, calls me in and lets me know that, like, the body, their dad's body is like a bionic body that's had all these surgeries. The heart wants to keep pumping, but her dad's ready to go. So she stayed with her father's spirit and soul, talking up near his face and his ears and his eyes, and staying with his spirit. I worked on his body, and I thanked his body, and I washed his feet, and I anointed the body, and I thanked the body. And then I went to the heart, and I did a singing bowl on the heart, where the heart was pumping really hard. And I slowed that singing bowl down, and I talked to the heart, and I said, it's time. Thank you so much for your service, for keeping this soul alive. But we really, really need you to start slowing down and stopping, because this soul is ready to go. This man crossed the very next morning. So there's two extremes to everything. There always is. We don't die. We're not born. We don't die. That's the spiritual community. Then you've got the fear side of everything. That's I don't ever want to die. I don't ever want to age. I'm afraid. There's that end of it. And it's like, it's this beautiful, both, it's all of it. We have to acknowledge, for the body, for this physical experience, and for the people who grieve the physical presence of each other, it's okay to acknowledge that somebody who was around you all the time is no longer around you, and it hurts, and the separation is very real. We need to stop gaslighting that experience. No, it's not the whole extent. It's not the full story, but it is still a part of the story that deserves acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much a part of this gentleness in serving and acknowledging that all of it's true.
Yeah. I was getting messages earlier that, we come in with so many missions and purposes, and the wisdom is to know which ones are the most serving with all the angles of communication, especially the heart portal and the feelings. And one of your major missions and purposes of coming in is to be a part of the service of this transitional stage of the spirit soul leaving the physical body. It's just a vehicle in which it was housed, and how it can be made beautiful, and then how all this information can be shared with others, so that it's not a topic of sadness or a topic of taboo, or just that hush hush back room, people stuff their feelings after they've lost a loved one, because once it's dead and done and they're buried, it's like I don't even know what happened, because we give our bodies now to the morgue. They do what they want. They dress it. They, even though we handed them an outfit, but they do their makeup and their hair the way we showed them on a picture. So we're like completely detached from the participation of it. And in old ways, they did wash the body and put on clean clothes and let everyone come in and participate in the body being there without the soul, being able to say goodbye and go through that. And we're missing a lot of that with the way it's been created, with the embalming and all the other things that just take it away from in the family's hands. So their heart is never really resolved from the death, which is why it becomes a trauma. And then the longer the trauma is there, the longer it creates a series of dramas that get passed down generation after generation. So I'm glad that you're here being a spokesman for it. I've had my taste of it on a couple different angles. I do elder care now, as you know, and I work with the fragments of the dementia patients and so on. But I want to bring up, a lot of people think that when someone gets to the end of life, if they're lucky enough to get to a portion where they know death is inevitable, and hospice comes in. So, hospice to me, in my interpretation of it, is is the medical side of keeping someone comfortable
Mhm.
and reporting back from all their vitals, and where are they on this stage, or where are they in this cycle before end of life occurs. And so it's more of, like, to me, a medical documentation. Even though you have hospice centers where people can go and stay, it's still very sterile. So you have families that come in and out, and they're scratching their head and they're not sure what to do, how to react. Nobody really talks to them. Oh, well, you may have a couple hours. It may be tomorrow. It may be the next day. And you're sort of left. And then the soul leaves the body, and then the family's like, oh, okay, it's over. So I think that this end of life companion is is invaluable to the family and the comfort of the physical body as it is allowing the soul to exit. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 1000%. And one of the most innate natural things for us as human beings, if you go to any part of the world that's still practicing as a tribe, that's still very close to nature, is ritual and ceremony. It is in our bones.
Mhm.
It's in our being to treat all of life as a ceremony. And the hospital's life has taken ceremony away from us. And
Yes.
so I treat my life as a ceremony. I live a ceremony life. And so when I walk this walk, I walk it as a ceremony. And so this really, this last one I served was like, it was so powerful because the daughter also does. And so, I mean, we had solfeggio forks in there, and we had sound healing, and we had chimes, and we had our voices. We were singing, we were reading scripture out of the Bible to him because that's what his soul is connected to. And I was singing Amazing Grace, and we were singing Holy Waters, and we were singing just beautiful and low and sweet and soft. And we performed Reiki, and we did meditation. And it was just this like beautiful ceremony that was just blooming in the moment. And like, it was really cool to like watch the staff of this facility coming in and out, because they still have to check things, and they
Mhm.
love him too. They're with them and all the time, so they have a relationship with them. But like, we were treated very respectfully in that situation. I know it's not always the thing. This was a memory care facility. This was not actually the hospital. So I think we got really like lucky with that. Um But I would say, you know, what I like to bring for families is to do what comes up, what is coming through you and trying to be passed through you, whether that's singing a favorite song or telling, like, she would speak these stories to her dad, like, oh gosh, thank you so much for when blah 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 blah. And you could sit around as a family and give gratitude and thanks to this person, you know, into the body and into the spirit, you know, while you're sitting there. So I really like promote creating a very ceremonious environment. It's about the environment because we're opening a womb portal and a heart portal for this energy, this spirit to cross through. And so the more beautiful you create of an energy and of a vortex or a window, whatever you want to call it, you're really creating that momentum for them to slip through that, and you're connecting to the process. And you know, not everybody gets this opportunity. We realize that there's tragedy that happens, there's things that happen out of control, and where we actually don't get to be bedside with someone. And so creating moments, even for that scenario, I think is really important, that we still create a ceremony or a ritual space. I would say more ceremony than ritual even, because allowing like what needs to come in that and honoring someone who's transitioning. My favorite part with his daughter was she was by his head and I was at his feet, and at the same time we were just like, thank you for being a human. Thank you for your time here on this planet. You did so good. We're so proud of you. Your mission is complete. Like, we were just like speaking this like fullness of his life. Yes, you did it. Congratulations. We're so proud of you. You've graduated. Like, I've never, as a doula, that was the first time I've ever experienced that kind of like uplifting, momentous, really like sending them off like how we should, like how it feels natural to me. It's not this like somber, like doom and gloom. We had chimes going, we had the singing bowl, we're singing, and we're like, we are so proud, you know, no judgment. Like, you came for what you came for, and you're completed and you're good. Be free, be free, be free, right? There's this whole like energy that I knew in my spirit, in my soul, I'm here to bring this. I am here to bring this energy of celebration. With that being said, a week after that, so this is a week ago, I'm having my birthday celebration at my friend Tammy's house, at my best friend's house. And I stayed the night at her house, and we were gonna put the party together the next day. I have friends coming over. She calls me. She's devastated. Her mother had passed suddenly. She says, go ahead and have your birthday party anyways, but I'm gonna be here at my mom's. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I'm like, wow, like, how do I navigate this scenario, and what is spirit showing me? And I had decorated the whole night before, and what we ended up doing was preparing her home. My birthday guest came over, and we prepared her home to receive her and her children back in it in a way. We cleaned it, and then we did cut out hearts and butterflies with like colored messages. We had cards, messages, little sparkly hearts just like hidden all over the house. We had flowers on her altar ready. It was so beautiful. She called me, she came home, she said she just was in tears with the joy, the celebration, the support, the beauty. So what was my birthday party celebrating my life was her mom's same portal to go home and have a celebration. And I've been raised by my mother, who is a medium, who tells me all the time, you are received and you get a party. And I'm like, really? She's like, no, I'm serious. You get a party. When you come home, you get a party. Like all your relatives they're all there. Your ancestors are all there. You get a party. She tells me that all the time. I've been raised on that information. And my birthday this year, as I'm really stepping into this role in my community and on this earth, to have this message, it's a party. It's a celebration. It's a reason to be happy and joyful. It is awesome. We don't have to have this. It can be whatever you want to express. If you need to be sad, I'm not saying don't feel sadness, don't feel the detachment. I'm not saying that, because that's part of it. That's all acceptable and all good. But what I'm saying is this other distorted version of what's been taken from us is how to be with it and how to celebrate it. And I'm here to celebrate all of the cycles, but especially the one we've been preparing for our whole lives.
Wow, because I keep seeing cycle of souls, circle of souls. You can call it the death, souls come in, their birth, souls leave, but it's a cycle of souls. It's the circle of souls. It's the natural process. Coming in, leaving, coming in, leaving. And coming in seems to have so much more of a celebration, but exiting needs to have just as much of a celebration. And I am so grateful that you are doing this kind of work. And I would love to invite you back where we can talk about this a little bit more and open up people's understanding of understanding this important momentous occasion and how we can all participate, even if it's happening to a close family member or someone distant, or we hear of someone passing. Some of the things that we can do to help to send their soul with so much more love as they transition to the other side, whether we know them or not. So I would like to extend that invitation back. You come back, Angela, and then hopefully we have a little bit better of an internet connection. But I think everybody listening to this is going to appreciate, wow, I'd like to know more about that. And I found it interesting. I think it's like the National End of Life Alliance has only like 1,300, so-called death doulas. You took it from a different course, but there needs to be more and more and more people out here participating in the celebration of exiting of the soul from the body, because
I hope
it
to
is
be
a
a part of that.
collaboration. It is a collaboration.
Yeah, I as I gain more and more experience, I hope to become a part of birthing doulas eventually. That's something that I feel strongly about. And as I make more connections in my community locally and that, and even non-locally, there is a need for this. Or even just, you don't need a certification and a title. Just how do we serve our loved ones? How do we make this experience? Just talking about the topic, you don't have to become a doula. We are all a doula. We are all midwifing our life.
Yes.
All
Well
of us.
said.
And so this is just a natural aspect that since it was actually the Civil War, and we can talk about that next time, but it's like since the Civil War, that's where that changed.
Mm-hmm.
It was very normal. It was very natural. So I look forward to helping my community get back to loving and celebrating. And we just had this Sunday, her mother, we just had her memorial service, and I got to sing at it, which was amazing. And sing for the congregation. And that memorial service went off without a hitch. The luncheon was beautiful. It was so wonderful and special. And I'm just like, I'm watching shifts happen around me, just as my own ideas are changing and shifting, and the energy that I feel about things, I'm noticing it shifting outside of me.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So
I can't wait to have
happy.
you back, and we're going to talk more about this. But everybody, I want to thank you very much for tuning in and for hearing what it is that we're talking about, and for Angela Willow, and blessing her for all the work that she's doing out here in community, being of service in so many different ways, not just being a transitional death coach. But we need to keep it spiritually simple. And I really would appreciate it if everybody would hit like, subscribe, and share, and leave Angela and myself a message. It helps the algorithms so more and more people can pick up this video. So stay put, Angela, but say goodbye to everybody. Bye, y'all. Bye, Angela.